Hello. Once again, my name is Nick Zuloff, and for this final discussion board, I will be discussing Francis Schaeffer, dates January 30, 1912 to May 15, 1984. Schaeffer was a Presbyterian theologian who specialized in presuppositional apologetics. Schaeffer attended Hampton-Sydney College, graduating with honors in 1935. Also in 1935, he would marry his wife, Edith Saville, who was the daughter of missionaries to China. Next, Schaeffer attended Westminster Theological Seminary, where he would begin his training as an apologist under Cornelius Van Til and J. Gresham Machen. Schaeffer would then move on to the newly established Faith Theological Seminary, which was founded as a result of the exodus of the Bible Presbyterian Church from the Orthodox Presbyterian Church. This denominational split came from a concern by conservative Presbyterians like Carl McIntyre, who felt that liberalism was seeping into the church. Schaeffer, who shared their conservative values, went on to be the first graduate of Faith Theological Seminary and thereby the first ordained minister in the Bible Presbyterian Church. Next, Schaeffer would serve as a pastor in Pennsylvania before moving on to St. Louis, and then in 1948 the Schaeffer family would move to Switzerland, where Francis would eventually establish L'Abri. L'Abri is a French word for shelter, which Schaeffer meant as a place for young people to come and seek the truth claims of Christianity in a healthy, honest environment. L'Abri became a place for travelers to come and be called students while they heard the gospel message from Schaeffer. L'Abri has grown far beyond the Alpine home from which it was established into an international ministry. While in Switzerland, Schaeffer would also adopt his trademark knickers, knee socks, and goatee, creating an image that made him stand apart from his contemporaries. Schaeffer was a staunch defender of the truth claims of Christianity and taught a fundamentalist message. He took on the advancement of modernism and the secularization of society. The term fundamentalist frequently evokes a certain unpleasant notion of a rabid, Bible-beating fanatic. Schaeffer, however, saw the world in terms of its beauty and credited this beauty to the divine works of a loving Creator. To him, the arts and culture produced by mankind could not be a product of some blind cosmic accident, but were instead guided by God. It was this concept of love that drove Schaeffer's apologetics crusade. He believed that it was important to demonstrate the truth of the Christian faith, but that a Christian had an obligation to do so in a loving way. In his book, The Mark of Christianity, Schaeffer says, quote, "Love, and the unity it attests to, is the mark Christ gave Christians to wear before the world. Only with this mark may the world know that Christians are indeed Christians and that Jesus was sent by the Father." End quote. To Francis Schaeffer, evangelizing the non-believer was ineffectual if it did not come from the heart. He presented his apologetic to unbelievers in a manner that created a dialogue. Schaeffer realized the importance of engaging his audience without being overbearing. This is not to say that Schaeffer was not a firm defender of the faith. He stood by the inerrancy of Scripture and the divine nature of Christ. In his final book, The Great Evangelical Disaster, Schaeffer attacks the departure from biblical inerrancy by some evangelicals, referring to it as the new neo-orthodoxy. Schaeffer also addressed what he perceived as the moral decay of society in his film series, How Shall We Then Live? The Rise and Decline of Western Thought and Culture. In the same vein as the moral majority, that was rapidly gaining traction at the same time, Schaeffer took on an activist role in response to the legalization of elective abortion following Roe v. Wade. In his second film, Whatever Happened to the Human Race, Schaeffer, with the help of his son Frank, conjures images of a Holocaust being unleashed on millions of unborn children. Finally, Schaeffer threw in his lot with the activists on the Christian right with his 1981 Christian Manifesto. Written in response to the Communist and Humanist manifestos, Schaeffer posits a decline in Western culture that is the result of turning away from the Christian foundation in favor of pluralism. Francis Schaeffer would die of lymphoma in May of 1984, but his legacy would continue and his influence among evangelicals and conservatives alike. Thank you.